Can Texas finally flip blue? For decades, the Lone Star State has been a Republican stronghold, but this year, something feels different. With Attorney General Ken Paxton, a figure mired in controversy, facing off against rising Democratic star James Talarico, Texas Democrats are buzzing with an optimism not seen in generations. This could be their best chance this century to break the Republican grip. Before we continue, if you want to stay on top of everything happening in U.S. politics, hit that subscribe button right now and leave a like. It really helps this channel grow. For 30 years, Texas Democrats have been wandering in the political wilderness, hoping for a breakthrough. Now, with a national political climate that's seen widespread dissatisfaction with the economy and Donald Trump's leadership, they believe the pieces are finally aligning. The Texas GOP itself appears fractured after a messy primary, one that saw Senator John Cornyn, a seasoned Republican leader, narrowly survive a challenge, and that nominated Ken Paxton, a candidate carrying significant personal baggage. This is where State Representative James Talarico enters the picture, a seminarian-turned-politician whom Democrats see as the ideal candidate to lead them out of their decades-long desert. Longtime GOP strategist Mark McKinnon, who advised President George W. Bush, even went so far as to say Talarico could be Moses. Cliff Walker, a Texas Democratic strategist, echoed that sentiment, stating, "Folks are pretty damn bullish. I think this is the year." The arguments for optimism are compelling. Talarico is described as charismatic, with strong fundraising abilities, and early polling shows him holding a lead in head-to-head matchups against Paxton. This is a target that has long eluded Democrats in one of America's most conservative and expensive battlegrounds. Year after year, they've invested heavily, only to see their hopes dashed. The last time Texas elected a Democrat to the U.S. Senate was in 1988. Ken Paxton, however, is not going to make it easy. After a dominant runoff victory over Cornyn, secured with Donald Trump's endorsement, Paxton has pivoted his focus entirely to Talarico, labeling him a leftist lunatic and a Talafrico. He's already declared Talarico the most extreme radical the Democrats have ever nominated, promising to paint him as a puppet for Chuck Schumer and National Democrats, regardless of Talarico's fundraising or messaging. Texas Democrats have been here before, filled with hope, only to face crushing defeat. In 2014, Wendy Davis's campaign for governor, despite raising and spending Trenta EC Stola's million, lost by a staggering 20 points. In 2018, Beto O'Rourke's energized challenge to Ted Cruz captivated the nation, smashing fundraising records and coming agonizingly close, losing by less than 3 percentage points. National Democrats later lamented their hesitation to get involved sooner. Even in 2020, when Cornyn defeated MJ Hagar, and in 2024, when Ted Cruz beat Colin Allred, the margins were significant, leaving many to wonder if this time could truly be different. Democratic strategists insist that this cycle is different. Talarico is reportedly polling and fundraising ahead of where Beto O'Rourke was at this stage in 2018. Crucially, the Democratic political infrastructure in Texas, significantly bolstered by O'Rourke's previous efforts, is far more robust than it was then. As Democratic strategist Jeff Rotkoff, with 25 years of Texas campaign experience, put it, "It's the best chance Texas Democrats will have to win a statewide race in the entirety of my career." The national headwinds facing Republicans are intensified in Texas, according to Matt Engel of the Lone Star Project. Voters' patience with the Iran war and its impact on energy prices is reportedly waning, creating what he calls an overwhelming dissatisfaction with Republicans in a way that you just haven't seen in Texas in the past. Even in a district that Trump won by 17 points in 2024, a Democrat recently flipped a state Senate seat. Surveys in that district found a significant number of Republican-leaning voters who backed the Democrat did so simply because they would not support any MAGA candidate. Democrats believe Ken Paxton's own controversies will serve as an albatross around the Republican ticket. Even John Cornyn, in a recent Fox News appearance, conceded that Paxton could well lose, but even if he doesn't lose, he will win by such a razor-thin margin that it's likely to have a negative drag on the down-ballot races in Texas. This assessment is shared by some worried Washington Republicans, who described the national mood as not great for Republicans right now, and Texas feels even worse. One GOP operative lamented, "We already know we're heading into a headwind in the state, up and down the ticket, and we just put up the worst possible top of the ticket person." However, history also suggests Paxton's resilience. Despite facing impeachment, securities fraud investigations, ethics complaints, and a tumultuous divorce, he still secured a decisive victory in the GOP runoff. Tim Edson, former political director for the National Republican Senatorial Committee, suggests that Talarico might be the only opponent Paxton can beat, even going as far as to call Talarico a Marxist creep who will make Paxton look normal. The NRSC, which backed Cornyn in the primary, has blasted Talarico in post-election statements, painting him as a radical leftist out of step with Texas values. Paxton's campaign is clearly leaning into this strategy, labeling Talarico weird and highlighting his statements on gender, race, and even meat consumption. These culture war issues are seen as Talarico's biggest potential liability, especially as he aims to appeal to a broad coalition of Democrats, independents, and even disaffected Republicans. Some within the Democratic Party are advising Talarico to steer clear of these divisive topics, urging him to focus on getting centrist voters on board. The stakes are incredibly high. The future control of Congress could very well hinge on races like this in Texas. With new House maps potentially gifting more seats to the state after the 2030 census, and no U.S. Senate race there until 2030, this November presents an ideal moment for Texas Democrats to notch victories and demonstrate their growing strength. As Catherine Fisher of the Texas Majority PAC noted, there's just a ton of evidence to suggest that this is a much more favorable cycle than anything we've seen in Texas in the last 30 years. Is it enough to win in November? I don't know. If it's possible to win in Texas, all of the things are there for us to do it. So, is James Talarico truly the leader Texas Democrats have been waiting for, or will Ken Paxton's controversial tenure once again prove insurmountable for the opposition? Drop your opinion in the comments below. I read every single one. The path to power in the Lone Star State is fraught with challenges, but for the first time in a generation, the stars might just be aligning for a Democratic resurgence.